Hello everyone, and in this video we are going to discuss how to play the Queen's Gambit exchange variation. Queen's Gambit exchange variation can also be called as Slav, but the basic difference is that we basically trade our C pawn with the E pawn instead of C pawn. So we are going to discuss it. So the basic idea of discussing this game, or you can say that discussing how to play the Queen's Gambit exchange variation, is this is from the white side, and once you know it, like more than 90% of the times you get this position on the board. And once you know all the ideas about this particular opening, how to play perfectly this opening, I think this is going to be very fun for you, and it will eventually increase your winning chances and eventually make you a better chess player. So we are going to discuss two games because there are two ideas from the black side that black can implement in the game. So we are going to discuss both the ideas. So let's quickly jump right into the game. So this is the first game we are going to discuss, and this game was played in the title Tuesday on chess.com on 10th August 2021, and the game is between Grigoriy Oparin, he's a 2655, I think perhaps the chess.com rating, or I'm not sure, and his opponent is lone Cristian Chirila. So definitely both players are extremely strong players. It's going to be a very interesting game. So white starts with 1c3. I'm not telling you to just don't look at the move order. Like we have e5, d4, takes, d5, knight f3, and knight f6. So we have this position on the board where white simply traded the c pawn with the e pawn, and you can reach this position by simply playing d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3. It's all standard stuff. We have the Queen's Gambit, and black usually 90% of the times goes for playing d5. There are also moves like c5, bishop to b4, but these are the sidelines. Main move is d5 generally, and here we are going to capture the pawn on d5. And after c into d5, capturing with the knight doesn't make any sense because of after e4 you already have a nice center and you're already better. Like after knight b6 you can play knight c3, and white is already having a lead in development, having a nice center, and it's already better for you. That is the reason the main move is e into d5. And from here, it's like the same setup where white continued with on the first move c3. So yeah, you can go with by playing d4 in the open. So we have this on the board, and after knight f6, you are going to play knight to c3, and this all happened in the game. Bishop to e7, bishop to f4, because both the sides are simply developing the pieces. Black wants castle, white is also developing his pieces. So we have bishop f4, c6, and here white played queen to c2. The idea of playing queen c2 in this position is we basically take away the f5 square from the bishop. You can also play queen c2 early at the place of bishop f4 because like in this position, if black played bishop f5, it can also be fine. You are having queen b3, but I prefer at the place of playing bishop f4, you can first go for playing queen c2, taking away the f5 queen. Bishop f4, c6, we have queen c2, short castle by black, and here we play e3. So white is doing nothing unusual, very common, developing his minor pieces, developing the queen. Like what's next? And black have also developed very fine. I think it's simply castle, develop his minor pieces. That's what everyone should do. We have knight to bd7, and here bishop to d3 by white. And yeah, white is simply developing the bishop, and here white is having options to long castle or short castle. Black plays rook e8, and here we play h3, and now the real fun begins. After h3, our clear intention, our actual intention is not clear. It looks like we want to castle and we are preventing backrank mates, and second, it looks like after knight h5 we are also making a square for the bishop to go back on h2, because we never want to give up the bishop for the knight. Yeah, because the bishop is already extremely strong. So after h3 we have knight f8, very solid approach by black. Want to put the knight on g6 in very solid defense. g4 by white, and from here the game really begins, because here white simply goes for the attacking side. Knight to g6, bishop g3, keeping the bishops, bishop d6, and here we trade the bishop. And long castle. And after long castle, our intention is very clear. We want to play rook to g1, h4, h5, g5, and it's going to be completely outburst for black. So after long castle, black goes for playing b5. And it's the most sensible approach because black wants to play on queen side to go for the king. After b5, white played king b1 because it is said that king on b1 is generally safe whenever you do a long cast. So king b1 is a necessary move. a5 definitely. g5, knight goes back. h4, knight to b6. All those who are thinking why not to play b4, after b4 white is simply having the square of knight to a4 and you can never play a4 now. So I think it's already good for white, I believe. That's the reason we have knight b6. Perhaps there can be a move like a4. a4, the idea is to play b4, but here we are simply going to play h5. And after like knight goes back, we are having rook dg1. On push, we are having knight into a4. And yeah, you can't even play b4 because white can simply take and you cannot capture the knight because the queen is protecting it and b3 is coming up. It's already good for white. So this is the whole variation. That's the reason black played knight to b6. And black wants to put his knight to c4. We have h5, knight goes back, and now knight to e5. So now what's the idea of white? Like after knight e5, white really wants to play g6, and it's a very strong idea. Like for example, let's take a move. Like for example, black goes for playing a4, a very common move. Black wants to achieve the move now b4 because now white cannot take because the knight is protecting the pawn. So after a4, now we are going to play g6, and after g6, like for example, if we push, we are simply having gh7. We are forced to go over here. If you take, we can simply take. We are piece up. We are really happy. So yeah. So now, like if you move the king, now we are having this, and it's a mate. So that's the whole thing. You can't push. Like for example, if you take with the h pawn, h6, and like you really do not want to take because of rook h8 check, king takes, knight f7 check, and you again lose the queen. So it's all collapsing for black. You can't even play like this because of knight f7, and this is coming up. Knight is hanging, queen is hanging, so it's already falling apart. So very hard situation, very tricky, very difficult situation for black. That's the reason in this position black goes for sacrificing an exchange by playing a rook into e5. b5, queen e5, because that's the only option for black to survive in the game because g6 was extremely strong. So queen into e5, and here we simply have e4. White is the exchanger. And now what white needs to do is white needs to exchange as many pieces as possible. That's the reason white is simply opening up the position. e4, we have b4, hitting the knight, knight to e2, pawn takes, bishop to a6, f4 hitting the queen, queen goes back, knight to d4, and now you can already sense it. It's completely over. White is an exchange up. Everything is falling apart for black. Black is having no attack on the queen side, and it's good. Sorry for that. So okay, yeah. So we have bishop to a6. Here we have f4, queen goes to e7, knight to d4, knight goes rook e1, simply doubling up the rooks. Queen c5, knight takes pawn, rook comes, check, queen takes, because it's a check, you are going to lose the rook, so you have to capture, and after bishop into h7, check, you lose the queen. So we have knight h7, rook into e7, and on the move number 30, playing with the black pieces, lone Cristian Chirila decided to resign the game against Grigoriy Oparin. So it was I believe it was a very instructive game to check out because you can see how white actually played in the game. It's very instructive, I believe, because white rarely made any mistakes, and like if you are playing with the white pieces, you just need to start attacking with h3 g4, and you just need to do a long castle. So that should be the idea of white. So like definitely black is going to attack on the queen side, but you just need to be faster. Like here we play h4, we are going to play even h5, and now knight to e5. It's already totally bursting your opponent with g6. Like for example, a move like g6 is also not working because of g6. Like if you take, like f4 is extremely strong, and f5 is coming up, so it's already over. So a very instructive game. So now we are going to discuss the second game because that game is also very instructive, and it's a possibility for black that's another option for black to play the game. So I want to cover all the options, the main options that that can happen in your game. So now let's discuss the second game. So now discussing the second game, we have the game between Akobian Varuzhan, like 2600 rated player, versus Arkadij Naiditsch. I'm pronouncing the name wrong, so sorry for that. And he's also a very strong player, having the rating of around 2700. So definitely the game is going to be very interesting. And this game was played, I think, in Montreal, and like this game is from the 2009. So definitely very instructive game. So with the white pieces, white starts with 1d4. Knight f6, e4, e6, knight f3, d5. What we discussed that we can reach this position, and after ed5, we are going to play knight to c3. c6, queen c2. As I said that you should play queen c2 before bishop f4, because like if you play bishop f4, there is a probability that your opponent can go for playing bishop f5. I'm not saying that it's wrong. You can still play queen b3, going for the pawn on b7, but like it's not the best. That's the reason queen c2 first taking away the square of f5. Bishop e7, bishop to g5. I'm not putting the bishop to f4, but putting the bishop on g5. Like that, it's an option for you. What happens if you put the bishop on g5 instead of f4? Short castle, e3, and here we have knight to e4. And many times that you're going to face this exact position in your game, because like it's very popular. Black actually puts his knight to e4 whenever you try to put your bishop on g5. So like, how to respond this? Like after knight e4, white first came back with the bishop to f4, not trading off the bishops. f5, definitely it's the most natural move. Black is cementing the knight on e4, and definitely capturing the knight doesn't make any sense because of f4. White is having the f file open, and it's going to be extremely hard for white to defend. So we have bishop d3 by white. Knight to d7, h3, g6. Definitely makes all sense because black wants to play bishop f6, bishop g7, and black is also making this a very nice pawn structure. g4 by white. Like, wow, such a move. g4, simply going for the king. Like, if you take h4, the rook is open, and now white is already preparing to capture the knight on e4 on the next move. So after g4, like many players actually doesn't see it, and they either do go for playing a long castle or short castle. You should go for playing g. Like, I'm pretty sure that many of your players already know perhaps, but I believe that it's one of the essential things for every chess player to learn. g4, g5, definitely capturing doesn't make any sense. So black goes for an instructive idea, very attacking choice, g5, hitting the bishop. You can't capture the g5 pawn because it's already protected thrice. So we have bishop to h2, simply coming back with the bishop. fg4, and here we have knight into e4. Because you can't capture this pawn because you lose the knight. Like, it's not completely over because knight e4, pawn e4. We have bishop c4 check. Like the line goes on, perhaps queen into pawn is coming up. But not the best. We have knight into e4 in the game, capturing the knight, and if you capture the knight, for example, we have simply bishop c4 check. We move with the bishop, hg4, and like, for example, if you take, we have bishop e5 check, and it's going to be mate. So like, it's all the line. So knight into e4, black goes for capturing the knight on f3. Like a very, I know that it's a complicated variation, but just try to think about it, and you will understand the hidden meaning. So after rook into f3, we have knight d6, the best move played from the white side. Knight d6, and the idea is to simply capture the pawn on h7. So we have knight to f8, which was simply a blunder. Bishop into h7 check. And after playing bishop into h7, on the move number 16, black decided to resign the game. Why? What's the reason? Like, for example, we have knight into h7, the most natural move. Queen g6 check, simply coming up. Like, for example, if you play, let's say king h8, we have bishop e5 check. Let's take bishop f6, we have knight f7, checkmate. And like, even if you try to play rook f7, it's still a mate. So you are forced to play king f8, and now we have bishop e5 still, and we are simply threatening one move, mate bishop queen g7 and checkmate. So rook f6 is kind of forced move. You have to give up the bishop, you have to give up the rook, but after takes, like, let's take queen into d6, which is the best. Bishop into e7, queen into e7, hg4, rook is coming in, it's already collapsing. Like, we have rook versus these two minor pieces, but black position is so bad, everything is hanging, the knight moves, the rook comes in, it's over. So a very powerful game, I would say, a very powerful game. The real complexity began when black played g5. I think after g4 it's still fine, but after g5 the game became absolutely crazy. Like we have pawn takes, which is the most natural move because white is the one threatening to capture the pawn on the next move. So black have to capture, knight takes, rook takes. You can't capture because of bishop check. You have to capture the knight, and here knight comes, knight goes back, bishop takes, a very strong move. Queen check, like after bishop takes, black simply decides to return the game. So like these were the two main options which can happen in your game. Like basically you reach this position. Here you are having the option, you can either go for playing bishop f4 or you can either go for playing bishop g5. I have showed you both the variation. You can play anything you want, but I believe that you should play both the variation. I think I prefer bishop f4 slightly much more because you simply get an open chances to attack on the king side. We basically have the king side versus queen side, and I've already showed you the previous game where white simply crushed black position. So I hope that this lesson would have gave you some knowledge about the chess and how can you improve the chess. If this did, then definitely make sure to like the video, share this video with as many people as possible, because it will only help them to increase their chess level skills. And yeah, so I'm going to come up with these instructive videos like this. So, and if you are having any doubts like I want to learn this particular opening or that, you can simply come tell me in the comment box below. I'm definitely going to make a video on it. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.